Thank you, Cathaoirleach. Minister, my question to you is if you will outline what targeted actions are being taken by your department to improve the employment rate of people with disabilities in Ireland, given that Ireland consistently lags behind the EU average in this area. And also if you will comment on Ireland's constrained labour supply, our obligation under the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and the absence of a government strategy from 2026 to address the issue.
Minister. For your question. It is a priority for government to narrow the employment gap to which the Deputy refers, and working to enable people with disabilities to pursue freely chosen employment is an important personal priority for me. The forthcoming National Disability Strategy will include employment as an important consideration as one of its 5 key pillars. The National Disability Strategy is intended as a whole-of-government framework for the implementation of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disability in Ireland, and is intended for publication in the coming months. The strategy will contain a number of actions from my department, including engagement with employers and employer bodies to raise awareness and to foster positive attitudes towards the employment of people with disabilities, which Minister Burke has also mentioned in the House before. After the strategy has been published, the Department will establish a new ministerial-led forum that will provide a platform for a more structured consultation and engagement with employers on the employment of people with a disability. It is intended to be a subgroup of the Department's Enterprise Forum and will serve as a means for advancing that employment by discussing employer concerns and potential obstacles. The forum will also showcase best practice examples from both private and commercial semi-state companies. It is my hope and through the dialogue process that we will enable a better understanding on the range of supports available to employers and of employers' legal obligation to provide reasonable accommodations to workers and job candidates with disabilities. The specific commitments from my department will be sent out in the strategy, once it is finalised and approved by government.
Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, whilst I welcome your comments, we really need serious action in this area. We are, as you know, a laggard in terms of our performance, and the figures speak for themselves. The right of persons with a disability to work on an equal basis with others is enshrined in international, EU and national policies, including the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And of course, it's also been enshrined in the past 2 programmes for government. The significant obstacles still remain in developing pathways to for employment for people with disabilities. Disabled people are only half as likely to be in employment as others of the similar working age. The employment rate in Ireland for people with disabilities at 32.6% is the lowest in the EU and compares so poorly with the EU average of 51.3%. And at the same time, the disability employment gap is highest. You know, amongst people unable to work due to a long-standing health problem or disability, 2 in 5 are in poverty. We really need serious action.
Thank you, Deputy. Minister.
Thank you, Deputy. And can I firstly state that narrowing that employment gap for people with disabilities is a government priority, and I know Minister Burke, Minister Smith and myself are very much focused in relation to this, and the forthcoming National Disability Strategy, which will be published in the coming months, is really important in terms of the employment piece. And that strategy is a whole-of-government framework, and again it is surrounding the implementation of the UN Convention for the Rights of People with Disabilities. The coordination and the finalisation of this strategy has been led by my colleague Minister Norma Foley, and I want to commend her work on ensuring that the voices of those with disabilities have been central to that development. My department then will lead on the employment pillar of that strategy, and again the first meeting of that is envisaged to happen later this year following the publication of that strategy. So certainly we want to address employers' concerns. We also want to showcase best practices, and thirdly, we want to promote awareness to support those with disabilities and to ensure that their legal obligations are upheld.
Deputy.
Thank you, Minister. There are wonderful organisations right across the country working with people with disabilities, but the state, and it behoves us all, the state has really let them down. As I was saying, 2 in 5 people with disabilities are at risk of poverty, 1 in 5 live in consistent poverty, and 1 in 2 live in deprivation. And if you take the additional cost of living for people with a disability, it's also well documented in the 2021 Indicon Cost of Disability report reported that the additional cost to manage disability fell between €11,579 and €16,285. That's an additional between €223 or €313 per week for people with a disability. As I've said, this Indicon report was in 2021. We haven't moved any further along. We still are the laggard of Europe. We still fall consistently below where we should be. So I would welcome your comments, but we really need to see the action that is required. Thank you, Minister.
Minister.
Thank you, Deputy. What I will also add is that we do have our enterprise agencies who are already active in this space. Our local enterprise offices are tailoring supports with entrepreneurs with disabilities. We also have Enterprise Ireland, which has their open door mentoring, providing mentoring and capabilities supports alongside the IDA, which connect companies with underrepresented talent, including those with disabilities. But I hear what you're saying. We would hope that we will continue our engagement with Minister Foley's office, get the publication of the National Disability Strategy, ensure that we can launch the ministerial-led Disability Employment Forum. That's key in terms of the subgroup around the Enterprise Forum. And again, just to provide that platform for collaboration, for innovation and problem solving with employers to ensure that we can promote best practices in regards to ensuring that people with disabilities can enter the workforce.
We now move to